Hello everybody and welcome to Unconventional GMs, the channel where we play one-shot ttrpgs with pace, vim and vigour, pitching action-packed scenarios into sessions of 2 hours or less. And this time we are playing Into the Odd, hugely influential OSR or new OSR or new SR game. I don't know, those terms don't mean anything, we're fine. By Chris McDowall. We're going to be exploring the fantasy city of Old Bastion. Our team of desperate explorers have formed together to delve the depths in search of magical arcana and to keep the wolves from the door in terms of pay. They're starting adventurers and have just recently banded together, and so in the way of such things they need to take on some odd jobs. And the odd jobs they're going to be facing today is a little job of rat catching. What used to be a job of some small danger and low reward has become one full of perils. In Bastion, the greatest city in the world, it's not just rats anymore they need to be worried about. They've heard of the Augemaus, cross between a raccoon, a fish, and a flying lizard. These are not just rats. These are dangerous beasts that people have new arrivals in Bastion, so nobody really knows much about what they are. This is an adventure we're running through, by the way, New Rats in El Bastion by Run DMG. Go and check out his stuff. If you like it, he's got loads of other adventures out for different systems and things. So you've accepted a job to visit the Bellamaus Hotel and solve their Augemaus rat problem. You've been offered fair pay for it, and you also, the more inventive of you, will know that a dead Augemaus is only worth 10 shillings on the open market. If you can catch a live one, though, it's worth a guilder. So maybe you've got a chance, although this job isn't paying very well, you've got a chance to make some extra money. As our heroes contemplate that, let's meet them and the people who are playing them. Starting with my co-host on Unconventional GMs, Gaz. Do you want to tell us who you're playing and how you're doing?
Delighted to. Hello, everyone. I'm Gaz. Apart from being one half of this, the other half of me is co-host of What Would a Smart Party Do, the UK's premier RPG podcast. And in fact, if you want to hear some chat about Into the Odd and what Chris McDowall has to say about it, head on over to whatwouldthesmartpartydo.com, where you can hear at least 2 interviews with him and a small chat we did at Dragonmeet as well. Today, I'm going to be playing Gaston the Badger. He's a trapper, hunter, an old mountain man found himself in the city, lured by tales of this weird and wonderful creature, which he can add to his collection. He drags behind him a big metal bear trap, still stained with bits of fur and bone and other things in it, dragging along behind him in a chain. And his prominent feature is a badger that he's turned into a hat. So its snarling face sits above his own permanent scowl and snarl, with its twisted teeth and beady eyes staring out. And perhaps what other people may notice is that he's not cured it properly, so there's a distinctive smell about him, but he says that avoids other animals detecting his own personal odour.
It smells like a badger. That's how you get them, isn't it? That's one of the old techniques. Fantastic. And welcome back to the channel after a brief time away. Jack, who are you playing today?
G'day folks, hi, my name is Jag. I'm an erstwhile tabletop role player of sorts, and today I'm playing young Felix Underhog. Felix Underhog always has been, a pretty physically brittle specimen who by all accounts has no right to have survived this long in Bastion. Truth is, if he'd stayed at home on the shores of the deep country, he'd have been slaughtered by now, ground down to be used as bait to catch fish for his village. So when the dread pirate captain Vesper Blackthorn came by, he took his chances, slipped away, joining the crew of the Wraith's Embrace as a bilge rat on eye-opening adventures in search of fabled treasures that have made him the strong-willed wisp of a man he is now. But all good things come to an end, and no witnesses survived the events of their last raid, in which Felix, along with Oren Quigley, a virgin powder monkey who had only just joined the crew, narrowly escaped with their lives by using Blackthorn's many-phase key. Apart from the night terrors they carry around with them, all else that survives of their master is what Underhog arrived with as an underdog in Bastion 2 years ago, a gilded spyglass and an exquisitely weighted ash-black cane that takes the strain off his limp when he's not prodding at actual rats in the narrows of Bastion's eldritch depths.
Fantastic. Again, welcome back to the channel. Craig, who are you playing and who are you?
I'm not nearly as optimistic about my character's chances of surviving.
Come on, think positive.
I'm like, yeah, he's going to last about like two minutes. So I don't know how much backstory I have. I'm playing Sanford Volhoff. He's a simple man. He's got wide shoulders and works in a glue factory, which explains why he carries glue and has tongs. He's at the beginning of the process where we take apart the horses and loves the idea of maybe making a penny or two outside of just the normal drawl of the factory.
Fantastic. This is a chance to make bank away from the breaking labour in the glue factory. And finally, Shane, who are you playing today?
Hello, everybody. It's great to be back. I am playing Ilma, son of Ilma, the latest in a long line of Ilmas, fated to inherit the family business were he not as physically fragile as Felix and lacking the strong will. So Ilma Senior, not Ilma Senior, decided it was best to rename Ilma's brother Ilma and cast this Ilma out. Giving him only a few pennies and pushing him away, Ilma spent those pennies on bolt cutters and used them to rob the family home of the pistol and hatchet that so far luckily have kept him alive. He's wandered fecklessly and arrived in old Bastion, and through overinflated tales of his own heroics has found a place with this fine gang.
Fantastic. And you are not alone on this quest, because you've managed to engage the services of two hirelings to help you. One of them, Benedict, wears a flat cap, overweight, aging. He performed very well at interview when you hired him, claims to be an experienced adventurer. Everything he has done so far has made you doubt that assessment of him, as he seems to spend most of the time asleep or complaining about the situation. And the second hireling you've brought with him is none other than Oren Quigley, Felix's fellow escapee and survivor of the Wraith's Embrace, who feels bound to Felix in some way to serve him and follow him, but is nonetheless even skinnier and more terrified than any of the other characters that they have met. And so the six of you stand before the Bellamaus Hotel. You've done your research in advance of this, and you know that the Bellamaus is a relatively new arrival in Bastion, about 30 years old. And prior to its use as a hotel, it was a church of the venerable host. You can see that the stained glass windows still stand, and bronze star icons glitter alarmingly in the afternoon sun as you look up, giving the building, as you might expect, a bit of a strange energy, not just as welcoming as a hotel would be. And you know your job. You need to go and solve the Augemaus problem here. There may be a nest somewhere in the basement, if indeed Augemaus do nest in nests. Presumably you'll find that out as you investigate and see what is going on in the hotel. And so without further ado, you venture forward into the lobby. There's a pleasant smell here. You can see the sounds of laughter and conversation can be heard from nearby. Deeper into the hotel, you can see the lounge, which I think will lead through to the bar and through to the basement. There's also some stairs going up into the guest rooms, which are leading up there. You can see you're greeted by the desk clerk, who immediately takes one look and one sniff of you, recognizes the odor of decaying badger, and identifies you as the people who've been hired to solve the problem, and says, excellent. If you'd like to make your way into the lounge, you'll find the basement through the kitchens round there. Is that? And he casts a glance, Gaz, just at your bear trap as you sort of pull it up the stairs and onto the thick shag pile carpet of this hotel. Looks a little concerned about that. Is that really necessary?
Why necessary? I can tell you haven't hunted an Augemaus, have you? You're wise to rely on us. Look, we've even brought our own bait, and I'll tap Oren Quigley on the shoulder.
He looks at a nervous cough and shivers even more terrified than he was. He says, "Oh, very well then."
I hear what you're saying, though. I don't want it picking up any perfume, and I'll pick the big trap off the floor and make Oren sort of carry it.
He like weighs down with it.
Yeah.
That's the stagger through. Indeed, and you can, without further ado, you can make your way through to the lounge. If indeed that's you. Again, this is pleasantly dim and warm. You can hear glasses clinking from the north to the bar. There's 2 young couples, each one with a baby, conversing in front of you. Overstuffed leather sofas sit around. It is the very model of comfort and conviviality. Obviously, as the heaving Oren and the rest of you sort of pile in here, those conversations stop quite suddenly, and you find all eyes on you, and 2 unusually silent babies looking in awe and wonder, matching the terrified eyes of their families.
Don't worry, people. This hotel definitely does not have an Augemaus problem. Go about your day.
An Augemaus problem?
No, definitely not.
That's
what I said.
I think this is a good opportunity, Shane, for our first dice.
Why did they hire us then? You told me when I came in that they had one, and now you're telling me we don't? Do we get paid already?
Look, we briefed about this. It's an Augemaus opportunity.
I'm trying to make the other guests feel at ease.
Why?
It seemed to be good public service.
Well,
we
let's
get extra
see.
for that.
Let's see how well that works. Do you want to make me a will save? Into the odd is dead simple. Saves are just made against the 3 characteristics. So you just need to roll me a d20, Shane, and try and get equal to or less than your willpower of 10.
I refuse to get less than it.
Fantastic.
I'm sure I was a big help.
And yeah, you can see Augemaus problem, and one of the men from this couple gets up to go and ask Dithers about this. And they said, I think I saw something the other day from it. Augemaus, aren't they like enormous rats? And then just at that point, I think Oren like leans back with this massive bear trap, and they say, they must be quite the size. And you can see them like shaking the coffee and a bit of a commotion.
Don't worry, they don't eat babies.
What do they eat then?
I'll pick a lamb chop off the plate. Oh, they like lamb.
So suddenly my appetite is all gone. Perhaps we should lunch in at a different hotel. And they're like quickly packing their stuff away.
Waste not, want not, and I'll pick one of the plates up and start hoovering it down.
I've been on my hands and knees the entire time, like looking under chairs, looking behind things, and with no regard for any other people. So if someone's in my way, I just tap them with my staff to get out of my way.
Yeah, I mean, given that they now believe the place is infested with Augemaus, they're quite happy with that you're actually sorting it out there. that causes no more panic than they already have. You find that there's no signs here of anything, not even like droppings or things from it. It doesn't appear that the infestation has maybe spread this far.
I think we're helping already.
So nevertheless, we may return later as they sort of bundle themselves together and begin to.
Yes, we should head a bit deeper. I think it's a shame to let all that bait walk out the door, but they seem insistent on going.
Excellent. And with that, you can make your way into the sort of final room of this floor of the dungeon, as was the bar. You can see a ornate black walnut bar is there. There's a woman standing behind it polishing a glass who looks up with a look of recognition at you as you arrive, maybe having heard the commotion from next door and realised that might have heralded your arrival. And there are a few people, the sort of less bothered patrons are sat there nursing drinks in the bar. The more respectable ones seem to have been infected by the panic that's already spread here, and so I'm moving them. But there's still a few that are just ignoring it and finishing their drink. She sort of calls over and says, our our problem solvers have arrived. I didn't expect such a crew to come. I trust you've been discreet, she says.
Felix has wandered in quite late, carrying a bunch of glasses from the lounge. He's followed everybody else, let them go through, and helped himself to draining everybody's glasses that had been there, and Cole politely brings them and drops them onto the bar. So, yeah, very discreet, and hopefully more helpful than you could possibly imagine. As he leaves with a taint of alcohol on his breath, the other guests' glasses on the side of the bar.
Yeah, well, we're keen for the job to be resolved. The first crew did us hired. I guess they didn't get the job done then. Whatever happened to them.
The first crew?
They ran off with the deposit.
I don't recall seeing them leave, actually. Funny that, actually. Yeah. But anyway, I'm sure there's some explanation for it. But yeah, it'd be good. It's just a bit of a maze down there in the basement, particularly in basement storage. You want to keep your wits about you down there. It could be anything in there.
We've assembled a crack team. Don't you worry about it.
She looks around and beyond you to see where they may be arriving.
Yeah.
Do you have much cause to go down to the basement yourself to collect or replenish your bar stock and so on? Is there?
So we try and avoid it now. It's been difficult. I lost a shoe down there the other day, and it's still not got back. It's tricky there. There's always been rumours that Bellamaus is haunted, and particularly given its last situation as some kind of weird temple. I tend to avoid it.
Last situation.
Oh yeah, before it was a hotel, it was a temple. Some one of those weird cults you don't get anymore in Bastion. Back in the dark ages when people believed in that kind of nonsense.
Oh,
Gaston pulls out a charm made of animal bones and starts waving it around and looking nervously.
He says, "Oh yes, how charming!" That's the kind of thing. But yeah, I try and avoid going down. It's not for me. I try and get Harmon, the cook, to get stuff if we need to go into basement storage. He's been acting a little strange lately, though. I think he might have seen an Augemaus or something, giving him the fright of his life.
Maybe it's worth having a conversation with the cook. Where would we be able to find him?
If you head downstairs, you'll find the kitchen right ahead. The basement then leads into the storage. So yeah, if you want to, I'd come and show you around, but I'm very busy around here. As she gestures at the 3 or 4 quiet drinkers not wanting to be served. I've got to tidy the bar and things. As she goes, then she remembers and goes to the glasses you've brought back and begins moving around. So yeah, just through there it'll be fine. Good luck.
I'm already halfway there.
Excellent. So you can make your way down to it's a basement, but think of it as a hotel. So you can hear the clattering of smell of food as you go down, the sort of smell of smoky ways. It goes down to a sort of landing first up as you go down. Clearly, though, this is this isn't sort of tatty or run down. This is clearly not the public face of the hotel. This is where the staff would go.
Back of the house.
Lit with gas lamps. You can smell sort of stew bubbling from ahead. In the landing, there's some food prep tables, sort of cleanly kept, knives in blocks, and so on. There's a door that's shut to the west, that unmarked, has a little sign. Sorry, not unmarked. It has a little sign on it. Just says "Lost and Found." That's lost property for our UK viewers. And you can smell from the sort of north and the east. The east way seems to go to the kitchen. You can smell that there's a sort of smoky smell. Clearly something's being cooked in there. The north, it's bright, and there's the sort of gurgling sound from in there. Well, what do you do? Turning maybe Craig. You seem to be assume you're the first to arrive. I'd say that Oren's carrying this. Benedict is very much the last to arrive, and his lack of enthusiasm has, if nothing but diminished since starting the adventure.
I think if I could read, I would recognize what the lost and found door is, but I can't, so I don't. I always work left to right, so I'm just going to open that door.
Okay, so you try it and it's locked. There's a bit of give to it, but it certainly seems to like rattle around a little bit. Yeah, seems to be temporarily locked at least.
I'm just going to bash it with my shoulder. No regard for whatever damage I'm about to lay out in this place.
Fantastic. So I'm actually going to make you roll a strength save. The danger isn't that you won't be able to get it open. The danger is the potential, and it's from something in the room. I'm just going to roll a d4 to see what it is while you make that save.
All right.
So there may be some danger if you fail this, or there may not be.
Understood. I've got a strength of 16, so I rolled a 6.
Ah, fantastic. That will do. So you, the door opens. This room is dark and small. You can see there's a sort of unlit gas lamp to one side, and there's piles up of boxes of sort of normal forgotten items, coats, hats, pens, and the like. As you sort of burst in, the light from outside, because the room you're in that's behind you is quite bright, you just see a group of small little spiders like run away from the light and then very suddenly run towards the light and towards you, Samford, to try and sting you. So the success save meant that you get initiative in that. Everyone else, I think, who are behind, you can sort of see as you're peering in. You can see Samford. You can see his reaction to this. So as these spiders skitter up to, there might be sort of 20 or 30. They're sort of maybe a couple of inches wide, only small, but they are rushing towards you to try and sort of leap and sting any exposed flesh that you have. How do you react? What do you do?
The first thing is I'm going to ask my compatriots behind me, how many legs do they have? The rats.
Some.
More than 4.
It's a combination of me using the end of my staff to try to squish them into the floor. If it gets overwhelming, I might start using my booted feet.
Okay, fantastic. So you get to, this is the first combat of the game. You get to act first. The way it works into the odd is you just roll your staff damage, and you'll do that much to this skittling swarm that has leapt out on you.
All right, so this will be another strength roll. Let's go ahead.
No, you don't need to roll a strength check. You can just roll your damage of d6. You automatically hit.
Oh, right. I forgot.
Yeah. It's good. It's good news in this case. When they attack you, it's less good news.
Being a powerhouse that I am, a 2.
Oh, fantastic. So you managed to bash some of them away. Half the swarm seem to go and hide under some of the boxes and so on. There's a treasure trove of stuff behind here. But there's still a few of them that are sort of climbing ominously up your staff, I think, to try and get to your hands that are holding them. I'm going to leave it sort of open up to you guys of who's. I don't think in this doorway you can probably all react, but whoever was closest behind Samford probably can see what's going on and react to that. And I'll sort of leave it up to you as to who that might be. If anyone particularly wants to dive in and say that they'd be able to help deal with this as well.
I think I was probably the next most keen to get down there, wasn't I? So I'll cast about and find out whatever the equivalent of pink Himalayan rock salt is, and stick that down the barrel of my pistol, and then shout "duck" as I'm pulling the trigger, and blast shards of salt everywhere, hoping that'll get these little things that are scurrying.
Fantastic. What could possibly go wrong?
I can't think of anything. But that'd be 4 damage from my pistol.
Okay, well, the good news is that has dealt with the skittling swarm. As they are splattered away from from Sanford, you can actually see within these spiders, there's sort of weird like larvae creeping out as well, as if maybe an infestation risk is happening there. But the threat of attack from them has indeed gone, and the two of you are able to survey this room. It is indeed a sort of lost and found. As I say, there are boxes piled up with cats and hoots. With a moment of calm, you can see a well-worn shoe sits next to the unlit oil lamp with a few nibbles on the sole. At a woman's shoe would be, which it wouldn't take a sort of Sherlock Holmes genius to suspect it may fit the foot of the bar lady that you were just speaking to upstairs. You're welcome to search the room more if you want.
Yeah,
I'm going to take that shoe, drop it in my sack.
Maybe
we should pay.
Tap it out first. Make sure there's nothing in it. What are you doing?
Pick it back up again.
Yeah, they've all fallen out in your sack. It's fine. It's not, yeah. Fantastic. While this is going on, what are the other two of you doing, Shane and Jag?
Well, I'm expecting the fiendish and almost diabolical targets of our hunt, the great Augemaus, to use the confusion to sneak up on us. So I've drawn my pistol and I am pointing it resolutely at one of the other doors, and therefore completely not paying attention to anything else.
Okay, so I mean, you don't see any Augemaus. What you do see, it's sort of doorways or archways. You can inspect it. You think to the east, probably the kitchen. That's where the sort of smoky smell comes from. You can hear some bubbling and simmering in there. To the north, it looks to be the gurgling. You think might be a boiler, actually. That's why it looks sort of hot and bright in there. Maybe a scullery or something to the north. And you think the kitchen maybe has some other rooms attached to it. But otherwise, no sign right now of any Augemaus. Jag, what's Felix up to?
Felix is making sure that Oren is well protected. He's carrying this heavy trap, and he's kind of going to go and give him a hand. And he's got his cane out just in case anything kind of comes up, and he's kind of shielding him a little bit just to while kind of scanning. He realised that these are the spiders, so he lowers his cane, so it's really down at the floor, with the possibility of just flicking any spiders that might have existed or survived out of the way. But it's quite ineffectual, and it's quite cowardly in many ways. But he knows how weak he is and how even more terrified Oren is, and he's trying his best to make sure that Oren doesn't kind of scream too loudly, because we do want to keep we do want to minimise the disruption to the guests. We do, of course, we do.
Back in the Lost and Found, are you guys going to give this room a search or risk unearthing? I think we see as the viewers, your characters maybe then just the odd spider peek out and have a look, and then retreat back as it sees the sort of bodies of its fellows.
If you count me just dumping boxes onto the ground and kicking stuff around, searching, then that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. Well, do you want to roll me a d6 and I'll tell you what you find?
I do.
I
rolled a pile of gold.
Well,
I'm sorry. I rolled 3.
Not quite, but you do. You notice a glint that could be gold in the box that you're searching, and as you take it out, this is a really finely made dueling pistol. On that with a little pouch of bullets next to it. That is really quite well made. I wonder if you're going to pocket it, and I wonder if Gaston has witnessed you discover it as well.
Definitely going to pocket it.
Yeah. Yes, what do you think? Were you searching the room yourself, or are you keeping an eye? Is there a chance you saw that, do you think?
No, I'm not taking any notice of that. I'm aware there's some kind of a sweaty, hot, steamy room nearby, though, so I was probably stalking in there, because if I know one thing about mysterious beasts, is it like hot, sultry environments that are moist and warm.
Excellent. Well, just let me make a roll, because that room to the east is indeed the kitchen, Let me just see if. Oh yeah, fantastic. So yeah, you can sort of stalk into this, and for simplicity's sake, maybe people gradually follow and see. The kitchen is to the east. There's a big room. There's 2 stoves with heat and flickering light on there. Pots and pans of every size and style hanging around the wall everywhere. There's a huge pot on one of these burners with in a copper pot. It looks ancient. It's all burnt at the bottom, and the smell is going from there. You notice you're not the first person, actually, Gaston, to enter into this room, because Benedict himself, your rather portly hireling, is just holding a ladle of this stock up to his mouth. It smells delicious. He's about to take a sip of it as you pile in.
I'm not going to stop him.
So there's it's hot. Oh, but it's good. It's good, that, isn't it? And you see him. He settles down. There's a little sort of stool. He says, "Oh, it's really good. You should try some. It's delicious." As he sort of licks the ladle and then pops it back in.
Yeah, have some more. Have some more. I'll give him like a little pat on his belly. That's it. Nice, and get your winter warmth on you. That's right.
He says, "Oh, you should all have some. It's delicious. And perks of the job. This is. You can't be an adventurer without having some perks of the job. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Samford?" He gestures to you, looking at your bag of swag with it. Looks a little bit more full than it did before.
It does, yeah. And I look like the kid who's got the hand in the cookie jar as I'm kind of like closing the top of the sack, and I just nod.
Isn't that right? It's just, well, this delicious.
Gaston's convinced that like a meat-smelling hireling will be just the thing to attract the monster. So he's going to pretend to take a ladle for them, like just surreptitiously drizzle it over Benedict's clothing stuff. So he's got a nice meaty aroma to him.
Yeah. He's doing. You catch him like picking up his robe and sucking it a little. Oh, spilt a bit, sucking a bit to get the
flavor, my bad.
Flavor out from there. Yeah, in this room, just to set the scene a bit as well. To the north, there's a metal door, sort of insulated and shut. To the south, there's sort of a much thinner wooden door that's leading off there. Well, but otherwise, there's no sign of anybody in here. Apart from, obviously, Benedict, who looks quite comfortable now on this still, as if he might stop here for some time.
I'm going to look for tracks. There might have been somebody around. There might have been creatures scuttling through. There could have been somebody dragged away. So I'm going to be checking the floor.
Is there any signs of scuff marks from Harmon the cook or anything like that? Or a trail of his apron or something like that? Some spillage.
Or his entrails.
Stuff. Maybe his entrails, yeah.
Well, both of you can do that. I don't think you're in immediate danger, as far as you know. So there's no save needed for that. Gaston, you there are sort of the odd. Can see the odd tracks. You know, when you. It's very much like rat or mouse tracks. As you look at the edges of the kitchen, there's the odd. Where the mop hasn't got there, where there's a bit of dust, you can see the odd footprint there. Not so much infested. And you don't see any signs of droppings either, but there are big sort of splayed rat footprints, as if they're big rats, but also not quite. Just doesn't look like any animal that you've seen before. And I think as you're doing this, you notice that there's also some. They're on the floor, but there's also some on some of the pots. The older, less used pots have obviously sat there and got some dust, and they're up quite high. You peer up, those tracks are right on there as well. If these things haven't been just keeping to the floor, they've been going above the heads of whoever's in here.
One of the consequences of having my big trap is that I end up with lots of animal feet. So I'm going to be pulling out various no, it's not a vole. No, let's try again. Let's see.
This pig, yeah.
No, it's too small for a badger.
Is that one on your hat?
Yeah, it's
yeah.
yeah,
There's no
variety of
Yeah, there's no things. There are footprints, Felix, that you can see. This floor is quite well worn. Obviously, it's the kitchen, so the cook is in here. They lead sort of between here, the room to the north, the room to the south, also back out to the landing and to the north to the room that led that way. As you look at it, you're a seafaring man, aren't you? You've got experience of riding with pirates, and that means that you've seen people with limps quite a lot, with peg legs and so on. That's common in
myself.
The piratical world. These footprints show a definite sort of shuffle, limp, somebody walking very slowly and painfully. It's not as if somebody's like a hive of industry cooking food or anything. There's sort of dust packed up and so on from it, and they're uneven and faltering.
That's, I mean, Felix is exactly the same. He's got his own limp, and he looks so carefully at the footprints there, and is looking to see if there's any kind of stick or cane as well that this person has, and which direction they're going in. Is it towards the metal door in the north, or back out to the south? Is it?
It's hard to tell what the most recent tracks are, but this person has been walking around here a lot. They go to the north, to the south, and also outside and to the north in there as well. As I say, you've got a metal door to the north, sort of thin wooden door to the south, and then outside there was an archway to the north from the landing as well.
I'll head up towards the metal door, listen to it, see if I can get a sense of just how dense it is, and depending on what that happens there, yeah. What I sense from that? Is it like a cold storage or something like that, maybe?
Yeah, it's funny, as you put your hand against it, it does seem to be cold in there. There's a bit of a hum from inside, and it's not locked. You know, it will push open from there, and it is the cooler. You can see at the sides of beef, pork, and lamb hanging from the ceiling. There's metal bins filled with milk and cream and fruit sat on tables. From there,
I pull off a slab of ham that's hanging, or pork that's hanging from there. Put my head around the door back into the kitchen, shout across to Gaston, and throw it at him. Here, catch. This is for your traps.
Yeah, I'll jump with a lime. You say, here, catch, and blast it.
Frozen ham.
Okay, now we've got lardons.
Now it's
stick those in your skewer and grows.
Now I'm sure it's dead. Oh, good. I'll pick it up and I'll pick my bullet back out of it again with a fork or something.
Excellent. Steel ball on.
Yeah. No point wasting good lead.
Excellent. And as you're investigating further, Jack, as you pull that out, it reveals in the back wall, the back wall of this cooler looks, it looks as if the bricks are sort of a different colour, as if it's been re-bricked up or something, and they seem a bit loose. But also sat on one of the sort of exposed bricks there's a frozen body of something. It's a bit like a large rat, but with strange splayed feet and flaps around its wing, and a look of like sharp teeth at it. It's maybe sort of this long, frozen solid.
Frozen solid in a fairly well preserved state, as if it was killed and quickly, a bit like you might do with young peas. You'd pluck them early and then stick them straight there for good preserving. I'll call out to the others and say, I think we may have a visual on what we're looking for here, guys. Possibly an Augemaus, and while I'll leave that to one side, I'll just take a quick look underneath it, but I'd expect that there's nothing much that I'll find there. I'm particularly interested in this wall that is of a different texture, complexion, whatever you might call it. I don't want to cast any human characteristics to it at all. But I'm wondering how out of kilter does it really seem? And yeah, how out of kilter does it seem to the rest of the place?
It just looks to be more recent bricks have been put up there, and actually, as you look at it, there's a gap where there's a gap that maybe a creature the size of your frozen body could have got through. The bricks are loose actually, and you think you could maybe remove a few of them. There might be something beyond here.
Is it much bigger than like 1 or 2 bricks then?
Oh yeah, probably. There's a space that you could sort of crawl through.
Okay, well,
if you were so minded to do.
Felix is a small, slight fella.
Maybe just stick your head through first of all, see what happens.
Oren is even smaller.
I mean, wherever anyone else
sacrifice him to this cause.
Oren is staying close to you, and he's now walking into the fridge. He says, "Felix, what's happening? Is that an Augemaus?"
It may be one of the things that we're looking out for, but at least you won't be scared next time you see it. If this is what it is, then you consider, Oren, that this is now committed to your memory. You don't have to be afraid of it anymore at all, because they die, and they freeze, and in this state they are of no harm to you whatsoever. And I put my arms around him, this clearly terrified young chap, and said, "And look, I'll kneel down with him, say, and it fits into a hole like that. What can you see through there?" And I hold up my spyglass to his eye and let him kind of get a good proper look at what might be on the other side, if there is anything, while I listen carefully through the hole.
Just so I know what's happening, in case it's relevant. Where's the frozen Augemaus now?
At this point, it's but at this point, I think I've come in, taken it, put it in my sack. I clearly think the job is done.
There's just one, yeah.
Well, we're ready. We're done. Get off the floor.
But yeah, there's probably one of its hind paws is just sticking out of your bag, so I'm rapidly sawing that because I need it for my paw collection.
Yeah,
Sam,
I still get full price for it.
Sanford, what if there's more than one?
Oh. Did they pay us for more than one?
I think so. They they did.
I normally get paid by pelts, so yeah, the more we have, the more we get paid, surely.
They did say infestation.
There's so many letters. I didn't realize that meant more.
I think that means more than one.
Very resigned at this point. Also concerned that you've devalued my prize.
Or we could tell them this is all, but that wouldn't be honest.
There's definitely more. There's definitely more.
Damn it. I like that idea.
I'm assuming, Sanford, you're in the kitchen while you're doing this. We've not all piled into the fridge to the cooler.
Yeah, I just gone and grabbed the frozen one and come back out.
It was funny when you picked it up, actually, because it was frozen solid a minute ago, but it's actually quite wet now. And as you put
it's much easier to saw through.
Yeah, well, it does. It starts to get much easier to saw through. What's going to happen? We'll do this at the same time as the spyglass.
I can guess what's going to happen.
Gaston, would you like to make me a dex save as you're sawing through this rapidly defrosting in that nice warm sack that you've got?
I mean, I'd like to make a dex save, but my dex is woeful, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see, yeah.
That's a fail.
Okay, so this Augemaus does indeed appear to have defrosted as you've taken it out, and it's going to take a bite out of your hand. So, guys, you're going to take 4 points of damage.
That is all of my hit protection.
That's okay, as long as it doesn't go into your strength. You're okay.
You might think it's okay. I don't think it's okay at all.
As it sort of gouges a lump out of your hand, and then like it's flapping and panicking and flying off, flying about the place, limping around. It's trying to escape from there. obviously its front paw is half off now as well. So there's sort of bits of blood leading everywhere as well.
I'd like to cock back the hammer on my pistol, take careful, if slightly shaky aim, and attempt to finish it off.
I think that will work. I think in the situation that we have, you might be at a bit of a disadvantage though for here. So I'm gonna, when you're at disadvantage, you just do a D4 damage because it is flapping about the place in the kitchen to do it. Everybody is reacting to it, apart from Benedict, who still seems to be sucking the stock out of it. He's going back into to get some more.
I rolled a 3 as I pull the trigger and the boom of the pistol.
That is just enough, and splat, the Augemaus lands down.
Still mine. I pick up the body, put it back in my sack.
At the same time as that's happening, Felix, you have an eyeglass held to Oren's eyes as he peers through this gap. And he says, would you like to roll a will save for him, or should I?
Yeah, sure.
Just a D20. His willpower is 5. So best of luck.
I'm looking at the wrong one, which says 10, which is clearly not right. So that's a 20. I need a 5 or less.
Yeah.
Oh, an 8.
He says, oh, there's a room. There's writing on the wall. It says, "Here lies a son of the host, a gift from the stars, tremble ye faithless. A gift from the stars, tremble ye faithless." And he starts like pulling the other bricks away. Meanwhile, there's obviously this gunfire behind you, and there's like this splat.
I'm knocking stew pots off shelves.
Yeah, Benedict's trying to like keep their kitchen in order because he's still doing. There's no, to be fair, there's been a few gunshots so far. Nobody's come to disturb you. There's no sign of the cook yet either. He's not wandered in. But there's sort of there's a moment of calm apart from what Samford is doing to try and get his Augemaus, now dead Augemaus, stuffed in there. Felix, what are you doing as Oren like pulls these together? Says it's a gift from the stars. Go on, look. He holds the spyglass up at your eye.
Is the hole there big enough for us both to each to crawl through?
It will be in a minute because he's piled it away.
I think at this point I'm going to let him carry on, and I'm a bit nervous for him on his behalf because I know that he's a little bit anxious in situations like this. So before he gets in there, I'm going to take my many-face key and go through the wall and be there on the right side. I take my cane out just in case there is something there, and so I'll be in front of him when he emerges with a good sense of what actually has happened.
Excellent. I'm just trying to see what happens there. So you emerge into the room ahead of him, phasing through the wall. You find yourself in a dark, cold, alien-feeling room, damp, and you can sort of hear whispers on the edge of your perception here. In the centre of this small room, there's an obsidian tomb covered in runes. As you sort of glance towards them, I'll let you not necessarily, you do, it does seem to form, and before you look away, you can see it says like, "Here lies," what Oren just said. It's up to you whether you look directly at it or avoid those there. There's also a carving of a sort of bronze mask on the far wall. Dozens of skulls lining the walls from here, and somewhat weirdly, a grandfather clock is on one side as well against the wall. The thing that you notice before you had a chance to even do that, to look at that, is 3 Augemaus sort of crawl out from behind the tomb and skitter towards you, their sharp teeth making to bite at you. Fortunately, you get to go first, and you might want to alert your fellows that this is happening. As I said, there are 3 of them. Yeah.
Those skulls, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Species?
Human at a glance.
At a glance. I yell loudly, "Shit, they're in here!" And I reactivate the many phase key to land on the other side of where Oren is and drag him out as well, and just make sure that there is a clear route for the hardier members of this illustrious party to get through, and just point the way towards them.
Excellent. So normally, using an Arcanum wouldn't need a save unless it was in a dangerous situation. I think this probably counts as a dangerous situation. So to quickly use your many phase key to get out without one of the Augemaus maybe leaping on you and coming through with you is going to take, I think, it's an Arcanum. Let's make it a willpower save.
Thank goodness for that. He's been in many scrapes in all sorts of raids on the Wraith's Embrace with Captain Vesper in the past, and he knows that these are the kinds of situations that he wouldn't say he's trained for, but he's come to be accomplished at. And he pulls out the Arcanum, fingers it in a quite dexterous way, and before you know it, he's gone. And I hear this splat of an Augemaus that leaps against the wall. If there is time, as I pull out Oren on the other side to slide whatever that metal rack is that was in front of the Augemaus was on, so that it blocks that hole a bit, just to buy some more time, then I'll certainly attempt to do that.
I think you can do that. It's not going to buy you a huge amount of time as they are now crawling through. And so as you sort of back away, I think what you've bought is the time that when they come and attack, for they are coming for you now, you will get the first go, if you see what I mean. It's not going to be a surprise attack anyway. So for the benefit of everybody else, as you're still arguing over the defrosted Augemaus, there's shouts of alarm from in the cooler. And Oren and Felix backing away into the kitchen. I think the place where this fight will happen will be in the kitchen, full of precariously balanced pots of pans and a massive pile of stew in the middle of it, as three of these large, they sort of flap and leap as well. The wing flaps make them a little bit like flying lizards, so they're quite hard to track. You look at one, then suddenly it's on the wall behind you, as they sort of leap into view in your area. I'm going to go through, so into the odds, normally players get the first go in combat. Obviously, you can just attack, or you can do something inventive. Normally, that's a save, and we can work out what that does at each stage. I'm going to say that probably Jag and Oren, that might be your action for this round, in boldly running away and buying time, bringing the Augemaus to the attention of your fellow party members. But as we do that, probably the person who's most likely to react would be Ilma. Was sort of observing stuff quietly. You weren't involved in the defrosted Augemaus panic, were you? So let's go to you first, Shane. What approach do you take?
Well, having reloaded my pistol from shooting the thing, as soon as I see them bursting out of the fridge, there are lots of big pots, and I'm well aware they're worth a lot alive. So I am going to let my pistol sort of drop down on its lanyard and grab a big pot and just kind of over the top of one of the Augemaus, because what could go wrong?
That sounds fantastic. It sounds like a dex save to me to try and get
it does.
Over
that's what could go wrong. And predictably, it was not a success.
So I think it's one of those things where you slam the pot down. There's a big bang.
I've got it. I have it. I got it.
It's very quiet in that pot, though. There's not much skittering in there, but you maybe believe you've got it. Yeah.
It's stunned, and I'm going to sit on the pot and refuse to move because it's trapped.
Yeah, we just see an Augemaus like padding up the back of it towards your bottom at this point. Excellent. Gaz, what's Gaston going to do? Let's go to you next.
I'll roll my pistol damage, but for the sake of making it more interesting, what I've actually done is opened up my trap and cocked it. Yeah. And then because he was going to slide it across the floor, but as he sees them bounding about, he's going to start whipping it round on his chain to try and like hit one and
duck.
Yeah. So as always, when he does something, he shouts "duck" at the time he's about to do the thing, and then It does it anyway. So yeah, I'll just I'll call that pistol damage. But
Go for it. Yeah, it was D6 is standard damage for.
yeah, 5 damage.
Fantastic. You have taken out an Augemaus, and sadly, with 5 damage, you have properly taken out like 2 bits of Augemaus drop either side of the trap
Two
as it
halves.
slices it in 2. The use of a bear trap may be overkill for these things, although they are quite big. They're not that big. But yeah,
not to self. Yeah.
yeah. Craig, what's Sanford going to do as you fall to action?
I recognize the mouse coming up the back of the pot that Ilmer is sitting on, and almost like a cricket bat, I'm just going to take my staff and just try to hit it as it goes through. I think hit or miss, I'm going to end up knocking the pot out from under Ilmer.
Definitely, yeah.
In that process.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and roll my D6. 5 seems to be the popular damage.
Yeah, again, it's not going to be safe alive, this, but you slam it against the pot, and there's a bong, and the pot goes, and I think Ilma, you're sent flying by this as the pot is down, and there's a squelch as you sort of land on this squashed Augemaus on your back.
Oh my, they're strong.
One of them remains. Fortunately for you, Benedict, buoyed by his delicious stock, he lifts up the stool he's been sat on and tries to swing at the one remaining one. And connects with it, but only succeeds in making it more angry. This Augemaus is bounding around, determined to get revenge.
As long as it hasn't fallen into the stock.
No, well, not yet. I think when it dies, it might do. So I'm going to do this fairly. I think there's a lot of you around there. There's obviously 4 of you. There's Benedict. There's Oren. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. Gaston, Felix, Sanford, Ilma. 5 is Benedict. 6 is Oren for who this Augemaus is going to target. Sanford looks to be you. I think. What does their bite do? A D4. As you're looking this way and that, bite goes into your leg from this Augemaus. 3 damage.
So takes out my hit protection, and with the 1 carryover, my strength drops from 16 to 15.
Yeah, so you've taken critical damage, for want of a better word. All that means is you need to make a D20 strength save to keep fighting, basically.
Okay. Let's do that. So that's on my adjusted 15.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I've done enough.
Yeah.
I rolled a 16. This is like, and this is all happening as I'm picking up the bodies of these rats, I'm putting them in my sack, and I think what ends up happening is I ended up grabbing this one, not realizing it isn't dead yet.
Yeah.
And giving it a wonderful opportunity to take a bite out of my arm.
Okay. Just to be clear, critical damage. You are incapacitated, but you will be okay. Assuming someone can get to you within an hour, you'll be okay. It won't be another Unconventional GMs where Craig's character dies, as is traditional. Not yet. Not yet. We'll see how it goes. So the situation, there's a bit of it's all even more chaotic here. You have noticed Sanford is down. He's got an Augemaus that has ripped a chunk out of his arm, and is sort of is now still sort of chewing on tendon and skin from there. I might go back to you, Jag, Felix, but there's just one of them left now in this room, to be clear. Not in the whole adventure.
I think that I know that they're all out of that room that we were in. So I'm going back into that room. I'm going back into that room, and I want to take a closer look at this grandfather clock, and this was it bronze mask. So I'm going to start heading back in there, and there's probably some kind of light that I've got, and see if I can get that ready, because I'm confident that my crack team of ratcatcher buddies is going to deal with this. I can hear it crunch. Its bones crunch already. So I'll pave the way for them to get get here.
Excellent. So you go back. The whispers return. You notice as you look at the ground floor top, there's a little tunnel behind it. Actually, you shift it as there's another exit from this weird sepulchre chamber.
What's the mask of?
So it's of a sort of star-faced sort of human face. It just looks slightly off, as if it definitely looks like some sort of religious offering.
And on this was it an obsidian altar or something
It's
like
a
that?
tomb.
Oh, right, okay.
Covered in runes that I'm assuming you're trying not to read, because you already know what they say. But feel free to.
I mean, is it just runes that are on there? There's no kind of like, there's no remnants of blood or anything like that. It's not like somebody's sacrificed anything on top of it, or somebody's used it as a chopping board or something like that.
Yeah, well, as you're inspecting it closely, we'll cut away and come back to you.
Yes, I am.
I am. You can roll the will save now if you want.
No, let's.
Okay, let's leave it until.
Let's leave it.
As you've escaped at safety. Back.
Safety.
Back in the room. So Sanford is down. Shane, Ilma, you assess the situation. What do you do?
I'm going to roll myself off of the squelchy mess beneath me and immediately rush over to Sanford, scrabbling for something to bandage his wound. He's always been so supportive of me that I can't leave him to expire in this terrible place. And I'm going to attempt to bandage his wound.
You can do. As you appear, the Augemaus jumps off him and is still looks like ready for blood, but stops eating him as you begin the process of patching him up. Lovely. So Craig, you'll be okay in a bit. And Gaston, what are you going to do?
How I envisage it is that the sort of like the Augemaus is running between the two of them, around them and over them, and stuff like that. And Gaston, with his heavily bitten hand, is shakily holding his pistol, aiming, saying, "Stay still, stay still." The tongue out the corner of his mouth.
As Ilma rushes either way in front of you, the sight, you can see it either way.
Yeah, exactly.
It bit me first, so it's still mine.
Sanford's waving his arm about. There's blood everywhere. And I'll blast it with my pistol.
Yeah.
For 3 damage.
And that does indeed take the final Augemaus out of this room. And momentarily, there is peace. Felix is nowhere to be found right now. He's back in the weird room. And you have just survived your first encounter with Augemaus. And that's probably a good point for us to take a quick break. So we're going to take 5-10 minutes, get ourselves some hearty stock from the kitchen, and hope it's not been tainted by Augemaus. Through the magic of editing, obviously, it'll be just a few seconds for viewers at home. So be sure to stay tuned in and find out whether Felix really has escaped to safety or not, as we all think. We'll see you in a few. Welcome back, viewers. We've refreshed ourselves with some hearty stock and checked, no doubt, our houses and flats and apartments for giant flying mice. When we left, the immediate threat of the Augemaus ambush had been dealt with, and Felix had bravely gone back to the strange sepulchre room that he discovered, and was in the process of investigating a obsidian tomb covered in alien runes. Would you like to roll me a will save as you're looking at what's happened on this tomb? I think you were looking for dried blood for sacrifices and things, weren't you?
Yeah, I am. I had picked up this mask. This may or may not be relevant to my will save. And realising that I've got nowhere to put it, I did actually pop it on my face.
The easiest way to carry, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the easiest way to carry it. So I've got that on, and I realised that I can probably just about see through these eye holes. It's probably not the best view, but yeah, let's make this roll.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a failure, isn't it, Jack?
You definitely rolled
on a buff what I could, what I would need. Yes.
Yeah, possibly putting the mask on didn't help matters. Is how we'll interpret that. Yeah, as you sort of inspect it, the runes still can't really make out the runes. When you hear them whisper in your head, though, it says again, "Here lies the son of the host, a gift from the stars. Tremble, ye faithless." And you get a brief vision of sort of prickly golden headpiece on a decaying body, which you think is what's within this tomb, and the sense that this is something alien and powerful, some kind of buried god that you have found. And then you flash back to sort of reality.
I'm kind of stunned in some ways. I rip off the mask, or try to rip off the mask, but my fingers are just fumbling
Try
around.
to rip off the mask.
Yeah.
No,
I'm
it does
trying
come
it
off
twice
eventually. Yeah.
It's and it goes flying across the room, just as maybe if the others are making their way back in, that it's there. I kind of find myself cowering or crumbling behind the obsidian tomb, so that when they do eventually emerge, if I do eventually stand up, I'll just kind of crawl up with my head popping up over the other side, and it'll probably terrify them. Certainly, Oren will have breached himself as he sees me, and at the same time, I'm trying to think. I've got something in my pack. I think that I'm going to need to use, and he scoops around for his flask of acid.
Indeed, Owen's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
Don't look at it, Oren. Don't look at it. Don't be as crazy as I have been. Go and get the others. Get out of here.
Don't look at what? But
I'm looking at nothing. Go, just go.
But I saw it with the spyglass. You held the spyglass to my eyes. I saw it. It's a gift from the stars, Felix. You don't need to be afraid. It reaches out to you. You don't need to be afraid.
I grab him by the shoulders and look deep into him. What do you mean? What is the gift, Oren? What is the gift?
That's what it said on the runes. It said that before, and looks down, and they're just like meaningless runes now.
Is this happening where we can see it?
I think you can. Yeah, it's only a room away, so I think you can see that there's this strange sepulchre room that's been discovered.
Does Oren look like he's not acting himself under the influence of anything, etc.?
Not particularly. He looks as if he's seen something that it doesn't look like he's subject to sort of magic or anything, but he looks like he does believe it'll be okay. He seems much more reassured than Felix was.
Maybe not time to use a soul chain on him then. I shall slip it back into my pocket.
Okay, so you found this room. There is a tunnel leading further, which seems to go back towards the direction. If you get your head around it, seems to be going back towards the west, which was where the other room that you haven't explored yet was leading. So it might link up there, maybe downstairs from that.
While all this is occurring, Gaston's going to have a short rest from all the activity. So he'll get the auger stoked up with some wood. He'll get a pan out, carve some of the ham off, and then he's going to seal the the bite mark he's got in his hand by placing his hand on the hot stove and cauterize that to seal it shut. Have a nice swig of water and then have a ham sandwich.
Excellent. And yeah, you can all do that. We've all got time for a short rest. You get all your hit protection back. I'm afraid, Craig, you don't get your strength back, but you do get your hit protection back. That comes with a short rest is like a few minutes. A long rest is a week. So that's the two scales are there. You won't get that
definitely
back.
two different lengths.
Yeah. And yeah, are you having any of the stock, Gaston? Bubbling away.
You keep talking about how delicious it is, but no, I'm not. Thank you.
Benedict's it's lovely. Piece of bread.
I prefer my animal identifiable when I eat it.
Okay. And then I guess what's the direction then? You've got the room that was to the north of the landing. There was an archway that went through there. Or there's this.
That's the one we thought was the boiler room. Is that right?
Yeah, you thought was the maybe the scullery or boiler room. Yeah. And then there's also this secret pathway that Felix may have revealed to you or may not, given his current.
Yeah. I think I would have probably, if everyone's kind of taken some time out in the kitchen, once I've kind of calmed myself by calming or tending to believe that I've calmed down Oren, we'll make our way back into the kitchen and regroup with the rest. Let you all know that what I found and tell you it's a terrible, horrible place that's in there, and we should avoid it at all costs, unless that's our way to finish the mission and get paid.
Excellent.
Or we can say we're just done now.
We could.
My sack is almost full.
I imagine the table's covered with all sorts of stuff from the kitchen now. So there's piccalilli and cheeses and what like. We've just basically helped us out.
Charcuterie board.
Yeah, there's a few like sides where it's not clear whether that's a bit of the Augemaus that flew or actual meat. Not quite sure when you best leave that alone for a bit. Yeah,
put some mustard on it; it'll be fine.
Completely.
Well, we'll draw out in like breadsticks and whatever else where we think like the little map of the place we've got between us. Use like the salt shaker as. Oh, this is where the altar is, and I think the boilers are. So, well, you said there's a secret way around here. Like my knowledge is that these sort of creatures like to huddle away behind things and find little safe places. So I know this is going to be testing for you to go back through the meat locker. But I'm afraid we're going to have to go that way, Felix. There's nothing else for it. That's where they're going to be. That's where the nest will be, if indeed they do nest.
Mm-hmm. He is correct. We have to.
Excellent. So you return through there. Just closing the circle from before. Felix, you said you were going to do something with some acid.
So yeah, I think the runes that are carved on this tomb. I might use some of the acid just to pour into the runes so that it follows the path of where the runes have been carved out. So it kind of soils them a little bit so that they can't be, so their potency is perhaps diminished.
As they say, what could possibly go wrong with that?
Nothing.
If you use too much acid. I think, yeah, so you do that as you're making your way through here. I'll just hold. I think there's going to be a will save for you to make.
Yeah. Just
to check that you haven't used a bit too much acid and opened up what's in this tomb is obviously what's at risk there. But
destroyed the ceiling.
Let's roll when you're on your way back out of the.
I want to know why the acid's not eating through the container it's in.
Well, it'll take a bit of time. Yeah. Drip.
Yeah.
So obviously, I let folks know that there is this route, this passage behind the grandfather clock. There is this thing, this vision that I've seen that may or may not be something inside that sarcophagus, and so on. Has anybody been back to the gurgling scullery yet, or do we want to go that way?
Well, we could check that on the way back. But we've definitely got a route where we think the animals are.
Okay, so you can make your way through the secret passage behind the grandfather clock. The grandfather clock, which is still running, and the ticks sort of echo ominously behind you. This passage, you sort of get down on your hands and knees and crawl through it, and it emerges on the sort of basement landing below the scullery. You can see there are stairs leading up. There's a sort of unsightly chandelier that looks as if it was taken here from a much bigger, more grand room and arced down here, for want of a better word. It's sort of dim, smells a bit stale. Yeah, you can see that there are stairs leading up, which you would assume would go, based on your breadstick map, would go back to the scullery. But there's also some stairs leading down to the heavy door of the hotel storage. As you glance on the floorboards here, you can definitely see those same tracks moving in and out towards the hotel storage room.
I'm going to get my Augemaus foot out and keep making sure that the tracks are correct and we're not getting hoodwinked by some mink or a meerkat or something. We'll just make sure it's the right tracks.
Get all the other feet out as well, just to double check as well. Yeah,
you got like Allen keys on a ring that have all got different sizes.
That's how trackers do it, actually, isn't it? That's how they have all the feet ready. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's definitely Augemaus here. And some of them, obviously, there's some on the walls as well. They've leapt up and things. So unless there's any further preparations, you can venture down into hotel storage.
I imagine that there is a set of footprints of barmaids' shoes, two going in one direction and one coming back with a footprint the other way. keep an eye out for that, just to tie for the loose ends.
There is, and there's also the limping footprints going back towards the scullery that you found, Felix, earlier. So you enter in. Hotel storage is dark and cool and damp. There's this sensation of skittering at random intervals here, and unlit torches line the walls. This is a vast room that you can't really get. It's quite hard to get the measure of it, but it's definitely huge. This could be underneath the entire hotel. Goodness knows what it was when this place was a temple to the unseen host. And it's just piled high with boxes, junk, random things in here. It looks just, you couldn't move in a straight line through it at all. You've just got to sort of pick your way through whatever route you can make from it. But there's a bit of a fusty smell as well, as if there's something animal and strange nearby. It's a smell that you hadn't smelt before today, but feels a bit all too familiar now. You recognise it strongly. This was the scent you got when those 3 Augemaus jumped at you. There are definitely Augemaus in here. Okay, so the way this works, it's impossible for you to navigate normally through this. So basically, as you proceed, you will meet some random encounters until you eventually come across the source of your Augemaus hive. If you want to try something clever, by all means tell me and we'll work out how we do that in the rules. But otherwise, you're going to proceed, the 6 of you, through this vast sort of cauldron of junk to try and get to the Augemaus nest.
To stop them any sneaking up on us from behind, I'm dragging the trap behind me as I normally do, except it's ready to spring. And it's got the big ham on it. Yeah. So that's like being dragged behind us. So if any sneak up behind it should maybe help us that way, or at least alert us to the presence.
And if you stay back, Gaston, because your hat is masking the smell, and we have to follow the smell.
Yeah. Okay.
At any time we make it anywhere near one of the unlit torches, I'm going to light them so we know we've been in that area before. And I'm sure that lighting all the torches in this old ritual room will have no effect.
Exactly.
Lovely. Okay,
the things that are stopping us from going in a straight line, they're piles of like boxes and stuff like this.
Junk, rubbish, detritus. Some of it's the kind of things you would expect a hotel to have in its basement. Some of it is just random weird objects and like carvings and things that you're not sure of.
I'm going to climb up one of these that gives a decent enough vantage point and scan the room as far as I can to see if there is anything I can gauge about it or the direction that it is, that there may be some exits or some lights seeping through some other doors or whatever, using my spyglass. Give us a sense of orientation perhaps, or direction to go.
Fantastic. That fits really, really well with the encounter that I've just rolled, actually, Felix, because as you clamber up and look around, you look, it's really, everywhere sort of boxed off. Some of these things you have to clamber over and climb up. It's just sort of wall-to-wall junk in here. As you pull your spyglass down, though, you see the shadows at the foot of where you stand assemble into a sort of human shade shape. It looks like a human of shadows, but you can just make out a sort of red nervous system within it. And the face looks quite a lot like the bronze mask that you had before. And it goes up to you and says, oh, you've seen him. Bless me one last time in the name of the venerable host. As he just whispers out and reaches up to you. It doesn't, his hands do look a bit claw-like, as if he wanted to, he could do some damage. But he's not doing that. He's just reaching up to you as he tries to sort of float up. Bless me one last chance so I may rest in his embrace again.
I take out my black ash cane and I stand above him and I look at him sincerely and say, "Be blessed." And I thrust the end of the cane into his skull and kick him off the end of with my boot, and so he tumbles down to the passage or the corridor beneath. just in front of Gaston's, or hopefully just inside Gaston's trap. Again.
Oh, excellent! I think this would be a great opportunity for you to roll a will save to do that, to see if you are able to carry out that blessing.
He is blessed, so blessed.
Fantastic. Yeah, as you thrust your cane into him, he goes, "Thank you," and falls back into the trap. As he falls back, he becomes insubstantial, and so just falls through the ham. There's a merest suggestion the trap might be triggered, but it isn't, as this sort of nervous system just sinks into the ground, and the wandering shade you have encountered fades away from there.
Do I get a sense of where we ought to be heading while I'm up there at all? Or is it too...
Yeah, you do. As you pick forward, you can see sort of where it emerged from. There's a statue, a statue built of sort of broken furniture and garbage. It's in the form of a sort of large Augemaus, but human-sized. It seems to have been pulled together. If you look at it from one angle, it looks like nothing, but the angle where you were, it clearly resembles an Augemaus from that, as you find this sort of trash icon.
I whisper down and indicate to my companions and point the direction out with my cane.
Excellent.
And then head down as well.
Excellent. So you can go to the trash icon, and you've encountered one of the waypoints on the way to discovering the nest. Maybe pass it along. Who's going to take the lead in exploring the next bit, and how are they going to do it? Go ahead, Craig. Stanford leading us.
Staff in front of me, poking around, knocking things, hitting things, being very, very noisy, and following the smell. That's the extent.
You've already encountered two, that's why. Really well. Okay, yeah, you there's another smell that you encounter as you forward, and as you get closer, you see there's a body on the ground before you that was an armoured. It looks dressed not dissimilar to the rest of you, but with quite solid leather armour on. The armour's sort of intact, but as you poke at it with your staff, most of the flesh seems to have been picked off this person with Augemaus-sized bites. This appears to be some sort of rat catcher. And as you sort of look him over, in one hand there's a flute made of sturdy wood, decorated with like luck runes. In the other hand there's a crowbar, which you'll recognise.
The luck runes didn't seem to bring him any luck, unless could it be an arcanum?
I mean, you can have a look at it.
I would love to.
Prise it out of his hands. Are you going to blow?
Oh yes, absolutely. Ill-advisedly. I'm going to attempt to be the Pied Piper of old Bastion and see how that goes.
Okay. You blow it, and a weird sort of whispering sound comes out of it, and the skittering sounds that have been around here get a little bit louder. Do you want to roll me a willpower save?
Not particularly. Oh, I passed. There you go. That's my successful roll for the game.
Yep, good. You won't need that later on when you find the nest at all. Yeah, the skittering sounds go loud. This isn't. You don't get the sense that this is magical. This is an arcanum, but it does. You do get the sense the skittering sounds are coming nearer, as if this is maybe something that might attract. This is for rat catchers to attract rats rather than repel them. And so you maybe realise and stop blowing just in time, as it still sort of echoes around the room from here.
I should stop that, unless should I stand near the trap and whistle?
I was trying to work out if we could put. There's a nice big bullet hole in the ham already. Is there a way we could stick that in and kind of use it as a kind of bagpipes or something and call it Augemaus? Gaston's lived in the mountains a long time, and this is the sort of thing that occupies his thoughts.
I mean, that sounds like I'm sure it's possible. I'm sure it's possible for you to build a ham-based Augemaus trap.
And to be clear, Gaz, that's not a yes and, that's a yes but.
You won't be surprised to learn this possibly will require a save of some description to do. And I think this might be where we transition from the exploration to find the nest to your better plan that you've made. So let's
we
put
don't
a
need
little
to find
bit
the
more
nest. The
detail.
nest has just found us, right?
Let's put a little bit more detail on what you're planning to do.
At the minute, I'm just spitballing to see what the group thinks. Like, we're a team. We could devise some kind of trap, because I imagine if we get down near the nest, there's going to be a huge amount of them. But if we could draw some away or kill some off before we get there, that might be a good plan.
I've only got room for 2 more in my sack.
That's okay. I think there are only two more.
Perfect.
I'll listen again to the skittering and not very convinced expression on my face.
It's an echo, Gaston. An echo.
Mm-hmm.
Echo.
Gaston.
Echo.
I'm not sure.
I'm wondering if there's some kind of trap we can set with all the junk that's around here. So maybe there's a kind of use that to create like a den almost. Hide inside that. I can maybe even use the many-face key to get inside it. Blow the thing to call them all in, and then trigger it so that they're all buried underneath all the junk in here. Can we do something like that? Do you think? Would that reduce the numbers in the main place?
Well, well volunteered, Felix.
Yeah, I'm not too proud to admit when someone comes across a better plan.
I'm going to hand him the pipe.
So go ahead. What's the plan now? And then we'll work out what's the stake.
Plan's a very generous word for it.
I'm just building on what came before. So yeah, so we can use this flute to draw some of these skittering things. If we first reorganize some of this junk into a teetering tower of some sort, I'll phase into the middle of that, blow the flute. When they come rushing in, I'll phase out. And then the whole thing will come tumbling down with them, crushing them. And we shall make good our escape and save the world. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, so it's the old figure 4 trap with the flat rock you have to kill mice. Yeah. We're just doing that with like an entire library or something.
Excellent.
It's kind of late.
Excellent. And are you using your trap as well, Gaz? Is that part of it too? Or
yes, that'll be part of the funneling process.
Yeah.
So that like they'll think, I can't go that way. There's a lethal looking trap there. I've got to go down this way.
Okay. And while Felix is phased in the middle of this pile of trash that's going to collapse, the rest of you are secreted around the place in case, in the unlikely event anything goes wrong.
I think we should cluster together under the cover of the badger smell, so they can't tell where we are.
In case or encased. Yeah.
What Benedict has still got a sandwich for it. It's like, what's happening now? What do you need me to do? This is like
bait.
a trail of lettuce.
We need to keep you safe, so we're going to put you here in this enclosed space.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. In fact, yes, I don't need to phase out if he's in there blowing his whistle. That works even better.
What's this? Like, Why do I just blow it? Is that what I need to do?
No, nobody else is experienced enough to do it.
Oh,
but
no,
we have to keep you safe to do it.
Do you want to? I'll tell you what, Shane. Do you want to roll me a will save to try and convince Benedict?
Nobody wants to roll will at all.
To take the risk.
I do believe another success.
Oh, good.
It's you.
So, Benedict, you're key to this. We cannot put you in danger.
You're
I've
piling
got my
up,
fingers crossed behind my back.
You're piling up books around him, teaching him.
Mm-hmm.
Do I just blow this, and then they'll come and the trap will trigger? Oh, this is clever, isn't it? This is clever. Wait, I can't actually. And then his voice. He's still talking, but his voice is getting muffled a bit. I can't actually see as you're piling it up from there. Okay, I think there's a roll that someone should make to see if this is successful or not. Because I think you are going to lure the Augemaus out, but it's whether they fall for the trap.
Well, I'm happy to bait them. I'm the trapper, aren't I?
Go for it. Yeah, let's try that. Is it strength? Is it willpower? I don't know.
I think it's willpower as we're devising this cunning plan between half a dozen of us.
Go for it. Make the roll, and we'll work out what happens there.
And then right at the end, as I'm just placing the ham,
Yeah.
That's when I'll make the roll and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not good.
Okay. Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
Okay, you do indeed attract some Augemaus here. And 6 of them come descending from sort of cardinal directions from all around the place. Can't even determine where they're skittering from. And rushing. They look enraged by the sound of the rat flute as it echoes around the storage. And they do indeed. Like, what happens is you notice that although they're quite big, a bit like normal sort of rats and mice, or cats even, they can get into the tiniest of spaces. And so I think you hear the rat flute echoing around. There's a sort of, they just sort of go into this teetering pile of junk, and it sort of shakes slightly. And then the rat flute sound stops, and sort of pool of blood begins to pool out from it, and it's still staying there. It's still standing. Meanwhile, from another direction, see this sort of creature emerge. It looks to be a lumbering sort of sack-like humanoid. But as you look a bit closer, you see it's actually a huge collection of Augemaus, all like not quite 3 Augemaus in a trench coat, but some rough approximation. And as it sort of oozes towards you, you all hear a voice in your mind. It says, why do you come to my home?
I heard you had an Augemaus problem.
I am the Augemaus problem. We have a human problem. Help us.
No, it's an Augemaus opportunity. We've talked about this.
I'm emptying the old bodies out of my sack to make room.
It says, all you have to do is leave us here. The brood must survive. There's a whole city out there. What's one hotel?
Will you match the
Don't
pay?
listen to it.
We don't need any trouble here. Just leave us be, or you'll end up like your friend. Sort of gestures with its Augemaus head towards the now slightly sagging pile of junk that Benedict was in.
I don't have any friends.
You've got a lot of brothers and those, Elmer, right?
Don't talk to me about other Ilmers. I'm the true Ilmer.
Original Elmer.
There is no true Elmer.
We have lots of brothers. You could join us. We'd be your friend as it like inches forward. This creature.
Don't listen to it, Elmer.
As it gets closer to me, I'd like to kind of almost look like I'm tempted and reach out to it, and then activate my soul chain to see what it desires.
Yeah. Fantastic. So I think it has to make a dex save, doesn't it?
It has to make a dex save to avoid my touch, unless it wants me to touch it, I would imagine. and then it will lose
That's a good
D6
point,
will,
actually, isn't it? I think it's
and I
going
will
to.
get a glimpse of their current desire.
It seems fair enough that it probably wants you to touch it because it wants you to
I
join
think so
it.
too. Yeah.
Obviously, you'll suffer the consequences of having touched it as well.
Yeah.
So it loses 2 will. It's got plenty to spare, but that.
You didn't need to say that.
And you get a glimpse as your soul chain wraps around one of the Augemaus. Firstly, this is clearly some sort of hive mind. Okay, this is an intelligent creature from the combination of them, and it certainly is one of the things that it is thinking. What it wants is just the brood to grow. So you just get an image of the hotel of Bastion with Augemaus everywhere, crawling on every building, all over the place. You also get a shot of another Augemaus. You see the cook, who you bypassed by going around the other way, is just washing the dishes. He's got a terrified look in his eye, and he's wearing a woolly hat with a sort of Augemaus shaped lump in it. And you can see it's just like the Augemaus is sort of controlling his body as a host. And you hear a sort of join us, join the brood, join the brood. And there's a moment where everyone sees Shane like meet eyes with all of these Augemaus as he's holding him there.
So I know what I would do next, but actually I'll happily cede to other people first if anyone wants to jump in.
I'm stepping away from what you're doing.
Funny that, yeah.
If nobody else wants to step in, I'm just kind of going to go say, you just like my dad, you lie. Put my pistol in the face of the one that's looking at me and pull the trigger.
Fantastic. Combat. Okay, roll your damage, and then you'll all get a go because you'll have shocked this Augemaus hive mind. We'll get a go if it's still got enough hit points.
All right, 2.
Okay. Yeah, there's this sort of blast of fur and stuff, but this is made of loads of them all banded together, so it doesn't have a huge amount of effect on it, and it sort of recoils from you, and you can feel it's not moving to sort of bite you or anything. It seems to be, you all feel the start of a headache, as if some sort of mental power is going to be affected on you. So that was Ilma. Let's say the next person to react might be Gaston. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm probably just like a beat behind, but I think that Ilma's been taken in, so I shout "duck" and then try and blow like the little ratty hand that's trying to hold his hand and try and blow the hand off.
Go ahead, roll.
4 damage.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, another bit of Augemaus that probably takes one out. Actually, that flies off, goes to the floor as that ratty hand like falls down from there. That was Gaston. Felix, Jag, what's Felix doing?
Felix has been, while Augemaus hive monster has been monologuing, has been grabbing a couple of the torches and has made his way into the trap thing that we've put.
Yeah.
And essentially he's gonna light that fire from beneath and start ablazing this ritual room. And if the fastest way in is to phase in, he'll do that, and then phase back out so that I'm expecting it to combust in a couple of rounds probably.
Okay, yeah, that you can just do that. So you've set the trap on fire. You can see, obviously, it's glance around. We see lots of flammable materials in this hotel storage that could set on fire very, very easily from that. And really hard to come down and fight the fire. But yeah, you start that blaze up. The Augemaus doesn't immediately respond, but obviously next round will respond in sort of what it does. And Sanford, Craig, what's Sanford doing?
I hear Elmer's gunshot go off and I get startled, and then Gaston startles me again, and then I realize I have one now, so I'm going to shoot mine as well.
Oh, your dueling pistol.
My dueling pistol, is that a D6?
It's a D8 actually, dueling pistol.
Oh!
Best weapon in the game. Go for it.
Oh, 7.
Indeed, yeah.
And it only had 7 left, right?
Yeah. So yeah, no, well, not quite. So a couple of you. This thing looks visibly smaller as you blast a couple there, but it seems to be moving faster now as it panics even more from it. I'm going to rule at this point. Obviously, Benedict's out of the picture. Oren charges in now and shouts, "I'm not scared of you anymore. I saw you frozen and dead," and swings his cudgel at it. He's neglected the fact that he's also saw that Augemaus come back to life.
Highly motivated.
Yeah, he's on it as I know.
Adrenaline there.
Yeah, the Augemaus is panicking now from it. What it does now is you hear a scream of pain from all of you, and I'm afraid you're all going to lose some willpower. So the way that this works in Into the Odd is you roll separately for each person. So just keep track of it. I'm going to be rolling a lot of d6s. Gaston lose 3 willpower. Felix lose 4. Sanford lose 4. Ilma lose 6. Does that take anyone down to 0 willpower? Yet. Okay,
Thankfully,
you begin
no.
as you do that. You begin to like sweat blood as this psychic scream comes out. It's quite. Oh, I'd better do aura as well. Actually. Oh. Yeah. Fresh from his heroics, Aura's head explodes.
Oh God!
Yeah. It's in. That's what it says happens if your willpower goes down to 0.
You're better off on the pirate ship, bless him.
yeah. And like splatters all around the place from there. But that is its action. We can go back to the top. Let's go to Ilma again to begin with.
So I've sort of fired my pistol, and this thing has mentally assaulted me, and I'm just going to scream in a combination of pain and anger, grab my hatchet, and just start hacking at the joins where the different Augemaus are connected together.
Excellent.
Just screaming, and for once, without any sort of ums and ahs, he's just screaming, "Die! Die! Die!"
That's how your head explodes. We just saw that.
And that's 6 points of damage on my d6 as the fury takes Ilma.
Okay. Yeah, it's still just about there, but it's sort of, Ilma, you're sort of amongst it now. It's as if you have joined with it, as Augemaus is skittering all over your body as you hack at it madly, trying to get where it is. Gaston, we went to you next, so what's your next action?
Yeah, Gaston leaps upon it and starts furiously sawing from the top down, trying to divide it into pieces.
There's bits of it that are Ilma as well now, so it's a little bit
one foot at a time.
Yeah. That will actually defeat the Augemaus hive mind. Do you want to put some narration onto that, Gaz, as to what happens?
Yeah, I think the rest of the team realise what I'm doing, as well as the hatchet chopping and sawing gun on. They realise that the only way to kill it probably is to throw the bits onto the fire. So we descend as a mob upon the Augemaus and start cutting bits off and throwing it into the blazing inferno that's now behind us. And the smell of roasting meat fills the air. Until we eventually start choking and coughing due to all the smoke and carbon that's in the air. There's not a lot of fresh air down here. And we see now the flames are starting to lick up the walls and stuff.
Excellent. And just as you do that, as it looks as if you have defeated all the Augemaus, you see the woolly hatted cook is jerkily moving towards you. There's a look of terror in his eyes. You can see the Augemaus perched on his head as he's moving towards you, silently screaming. What do you do with him?
I've got half a flask of acid left to unload.
Just enough to get the Augemaus off, yeah?
Yeah. And it's only going to get the Augemaus off. It's not going to do anything to the friendly neighborhood cook.
I mean, you'll probably need a new hat, but apart from that, it should be all right.
Yeah, I think I'll let you. I mean, do you want to run me a dex save to see how that goes?
Yeah, pretty well.
Yeah. He like, oh, thank you, as he regains the ability to speak as this like Augemaus goes down. And in fact, you have defeated the Augemaus infestation. How are we going to leave it? Because it's not clear whether this fire is going to be contained down here. What's your
just
thinking?
To make sure we get upstairs and get paid quickly.
Yeah.
And then
Come on. You smell burning?
Yeah.
No.
The building not being on fire was not part of the contract, as I see it.
Yeah. Okay, we could do that. So, as just one last thing, as you sort of scarper up and go maybe through the sepulchre chamber, Jag, do you want to roll me that will save for the acid that you deployed to get rid of the runes?
Well, before we descend into the ritual room, that would have been fine. Not so now.
Yeah, I think the acid has probably weakened the sepulchre a little bit, so you can just see, although the runes are gone, the lid's sort of slightly ajar.
I don't think we need to worry about the fire downstairs.
Yeah, as you look at it, it's okay though, because there's nothing in there anymore. The thing that you saw that was in there, it's gone, so it's fine. It's not. Excellent, and you're able to return and indeed get paid and get the bounty for your dead, or I think they're all dead, aren't they? There's Augemaus. As we see you scarper off as the hotel burns down. Let's just quickly finish off with a little epilogue for each character. So if we just go around, just describe what we see of the character in the aftermath of this. I was going to say we'll include the Hirelings, but sadly neither of them made it to the end of the adventure. So rest in peace, Benedict and Oren. Gaz, what do we see of Gaston as you're spending your ill-gotten gains from this mission?
I think Gaston has seen what happens with the dueling pistol. So much to the distaste of the high-class establishment he's got into, he's pointing with his greasy fingers smudging across the top of the glass case. Yeah, that one. The bronze buying himself a brand new pistol.
Still with the badger hat and the trap.
Yeah.
Singed ham on it.
Lots of people around with cravats and stuff, crinkling their noses.
Yeah. Lovely. Jag, what do we see of Felix?
I suspect that the authorities have managed to get into salvage the hotel and put out the fire at some point. Yeah. So a few weeks later, or a few days later, Felix has attempted to secrete back in there and recover the body of Oren and give him a fond farewell, because he sadly misses him and he feels affectionate towards him.
A burial at sea, maybe.
Yeah. Chuck him into the local river.
Yeah,
that's the closest we've got now, right? Not actually going back to the sea.
No,
that way
terrible,
lies,
wasn't it? Yeah.
He knows.
Excellent, Craig. What do we see of Sanford in the aftermath of this adventure?
I think we see me back at the factory, but not in my original clothes. I appear to have been promoted. I'm in much nicer attire, and I'm walking down one of the aisles and instructing the workers. No. That's what we did with horses. With the Augemaus, we have to do this, and I kind of show them a different way to do it. And coming up with this new glue made out of Augemaus has been a bit of a boon to my career. So
lovely. It's all about
moving up in the world.
Fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, Ilma, son of Ilma. What's he up to, Shane?
So we see Ilma in Preacher Square, the place where all the small gods priests go, and Ilma is stood upon a box preaching about that we should learn from the Augemaus. We should become one with each other, a true great family, which lasts until he's pelted with rotten vegetables, but that's okay. He'll try again tomorrow. His faith undiminished.
Lovely, fantastic. And it goes.
Well, I also feel like Ilma can only sire daughters.
I mean, you're very generous in his opportunity to win a life partner, but
lovely. And it goes without saying that obviously Oren luckily has been spared the constant visions of the ancient cult that was under the hotel, but Felix has not been from his explorations in the sepulchre, and so that will no doubt haunt him. And that is the end of our adventure. Thank you for watching and listening. Let's play Into the Odd. Check out our other videos and check out Into the Odd from Chris McDowall. Check out Run DMG stuff. This adventure, New Ratcatchers Bastion, was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun playing it, and it's a really good introduction to the system and the sort of setting. You can get loads and loads of roleplay out of it. Check out the rest of Unconventional GMs. Check out Third Floor Wars. Check out Burn After Running. Check out what the Smart Party do, and all of our good things that we are producing. If you enjoyed the video, the best thing you can do from it is to like and subscribe and share and talk about it with your friends, so we get the word out that. And if there's other Into the Odd based games that you'd like us to tackle, we've already been looking at a few, but if there's other systems you'd like to see us try on channel, show how you can deliver a fast all action adventure in a couple of hours, do get in touch and put them on. We'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, thanks for viewing again, and we'll see you in our next video.